All right, so let's get started. My name is Marie Balulu, and I'm the program manager for elective and experiential education. I oversee our elective study away opportunities, both international and domestic. Thank you so much for coming in our evening session. I know this was quite the short notice with the announcement just going out on Monday and the information session on 2 days later. But I really appreciate you being able to join. Luckily, the session is recorded, so if you have any colleagues and friends who are unable to join, let them know that we will have the recording available tomorrow on the brochure and on our website. So the agenda for today is that we will talk about all of the programs that will be offered in the winter and spring. We will start with the faculty-led programs. We have our two faculty leaders in the room now who will give presentations on their program, and then we will reserve 2 to 3 minutes on each of their presentations for program specific. For any general questions, including application requirements and travel questions, we can keep those until the end for the final Q&A, where I will address all of those questions together. Then I will talk about short-term exchange programs, what those are and what your options are for the winter and spring. And then we will have a short plug for long-term study abroad and additional experiential learning courses like business and society. And then we will talk about the application process and open it up for questions at the end. So first off, why study abroad? So it is important when considering study abroad to consider why you want to have this experience and how important it will be for your GW degree. Many of you are looking to gain experience in a new sector or perhaps a new region. Study abroad provides you access to those areas, those new ways of doing business all the while earning academic credit. So study abroad or study away, not only abroad, brings a unique set of challenges that transform into soft skills that employers seek when hiring, including adaptability, intercultural competency, and problem solving. And study abroad really offers you and provides students with those skills. These courses are designed to build upon the core coursework you take here at GW and apply what you've learned to a specific country, sector, and sometimes even a client. Moving on to our official offerings for the winter and spring, we will have, this is the flyer that you've already seen come through on Monday. We have, typically we have program offerings in 3 cycles. We have programs over the winter break, which is the first week of January. We have the spring break, which fits right into that week. And then over the summer, we have our programs as well. So those are our typical cycles. And students are eligible to take, to apply to multiple of these programs. So let's start with faculty-led programs. So what are faculty-led programs? Faculty-led programs are open to graduate and qualified undergraduate students across the school, across the university. These are typically 1 to 2 week thematically focused programs led by a GWSB faculty member to a specific host destination abroad or even domestically here in the States. These programs focus on either a different sector of business or a business as a whole in a host destination. In addition to the intensive off-campus portion, you would typically have 2 to 3 course sessions before and after that off-campus session. It is a great opportunity to network with specific GW faculty and your fellow classmates from around the school and representatives from different organizations relevant to the topic. So on that note, I will pass it on to our first faculty leader who will be leading our program to Arizona. Dr. Narati, it is all yours.
Great, thank you. And I'm excited to be here to share the opportunity to travel to Arizona this spring break during spring training, Major League Baseball spring training. And I'm especially excited to announce that Mike Toomey, a 39-year veteran of Major League Baseball as a professional scout, and his last stint was with the Kansas City Royals, where he's won a world championship, where he was a special assistant to the general manager. Mike Toomey actually played baseball at GW, coached baseball for 3 years, brought them to championships, and is just a man with lots of connections and a lot of passion for baseball. I think we're all going to learn, including myself, about how to scout, what people look for. He's going to have you all practice scouting, both at the pro leagues, and then there's a lot of AAA and AA players that will also be there, and he'll take us behind the scenes and do that. We will also be learning on the business side. So that's where my expertise in the business side comes in, looking at, the impact on Arizona for bringing spring training into the state, looking at, the negotiations that go on behind the scene about with agents and general managers, just really understanding the business of baseball from both the general manager's perspective, the scouting perspective, as well as the business side of things. So this is open to graduates and qualified undergrad students. It is 3 credits. We will be traveling off campus around the 13th through the 19th. And the due date is coming up quickly, October 24th. So we can jump right in, make hotel arrangements as well as airline flights after you get accepted into the program. The sooner we can get all that through, the better the prices we can find. And is there another slide?
No, these are the 2 slides.
Okay, sorry. So, we've run similar programs in the past. About 5 years ago, Mark Hyman took students down to Florida for a spring training course. And then in 2020, we were supposed to go to Arizona, and COVID hit the day before they were supposed to leave. So, the world shut down, as you know, March 14th, and that was the day they were supposed to leave. So very disappointing. But another thing that we have planned while in Arizona is, some of you know, Jerry Reinsdorf is the chairman of the White Sox and also the Chicago Bulls. His White Sox train, they'll be in Arizona at Camel Ranch, and we will be meeting with Mr. Reinsdorf and learning more about his background, and that we usually also have an alumni event scheduled at that time. So we have a lot of alums. The Dodgers are in Arizona. Obviously, as I mentioned before, Mr. Toomey worked for the San Diego Padres, and they're going to be in San Diego. Padres and Kansas City Royals are both based in Arizona. So we're going to be having lots of connections with them. A couple of our alums work with the Dodgers and the Angels, both of which have training programs in Arizona. So we've got a lot of connections. It's just a great way for you to learn more about baseball and also meet with alums. Any questions? And for your assignments, as I said before, we'll be practicing scouting. You're going to be writing a term paper on a topic of your choice, whether it's on the more scouting player development side or it's on the business side. It's an option for you to choose that. No questions?
Thank you so much, Lisa. Does anybody have any questions about the Arizona program?
There will be. I just wanted to mention that we will be holding about 4 sessions on campus leading up to, it could also be online, leading up to when we travel. And these will be scheduled based upon everybody else's schedule, class schedule. We won't conflict with any of your current classes. So it may be held on Friday night or some other time when you do not have classes. And we, once I know everybody in the class, I'll ask for your schedule and then we'll plan it that way. But it will be helpful for you to have some background and knowledge before we travel. So we'll have about 4 sessions before we head out, and then you'll have the class for that time period in Arizona. And then you'll finish your papers when you come back and submit those before the end of the semester.
Hi, Dr. Narati. This is Brian Garand. Can you tell us where we go to apply or what kind of the process is to fill out the application?
Yes, I think my colleague Marie can do that. Marie.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, so all of the applications are now available online. So if you go on our website at GWSB Global Experiential Education, on our short-term abroad page, you can go in and click on the specific program of interest. It will lead you to the brochure, and right on the first page of the brochure, there should be an Apply Now button that you will select, and that will automatically open a GW Passport application where you will have guidance on which items you'll be required to submit, including application materials and e-signature materials.
Thank you, Grace, for putting the link into the chat box so everybody can just click on that and then go right to that application.
Great. Thank you all.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, feel free to reach out. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat box if you have any questions. And it's a very busy time, but it will be a great experience. And you are responsible, obviously, you pay your tuition, you pay your airfare, you pay your hotel room, and any other expenses that we have.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. And I will get to the details of the application in terms of program fees and cost estimates later on in the presentation. But we are set to move on with our next faculty leader, who I believe is in the room. Let's see. So our next program is to Austin, Texas, and it's called Startup City, which will be led by Professor Thomas DeBas. Thomas, are you in the room right now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome, great.
Yeah. Take it away.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. It's hard to follow baseball, so I'm not sure how fun this would be. But in any way, my name is Thomas DeBas. I'm an adjunct faculty at GW. I teach mostly strategic foresight, startup resilience, and recently a strategy class. So this is a new series that I've developed. Essentially, is trying to focus on ecosystems. Essentially, cities that have cultivated a certain level of interest for startups to create their businesses, and what does it entail to create startups. So in this case, we're focusing on Austin, Texas, which is getting a lot of buzz, and it's on the news on not only attracting talent, but I'm sure you've seen the recent news about 4 or 5 days ago. Tesla announced that they're moving their headquarters to Austin, and Apple is moving now, Google. I mean, it's just all the tech giants are essentially fleeing Silicon Valley and moving to Austin. And aside from obviously the ecosystem that Austin provides, the most amazing synergy that happened is that that same week is also South by Southwest, which is an iconic festival of ideas and music and film and all that. And so this would be a very unique opportunity as a course, not only to learn if you ever have an idea for startup or if you ever wanted to work for startup. This class essentially introduces you to the kind of triumph and tribulations of what it means to create a startup, from ideation to kind of markets. But the residency in Austin puts you at the forefront, at the heart of a city that is becoming a centerpiece of a startup scene in Austin, and the whole world is going to be there. It's not just experiencing Austin, but the whole world, because the festival attracts a global audience, global speakers, and the conference actually have a specific track on startups, and we will be essentially developing a curriculum around these panels and conversations that will be happening throughout that week. It's probably going to kick off March 12th, and most likely, I think you know the dates, until the 19th, I think. And before the class, we will do a virtual classes talking about the core substance of what startups are all about, what it means to create one, and all that. And the residency is actually kind of an experiential experience to actually have a direct contact and exposure to founders, ecosystem builders, venture capitalists, and all that other jazz that come with that ecosystem. And that's kind of the meat of this program. I'm very excited. I have been at South by several times as speaker and as a participant. The last time I was there in 2019, obviously the pandemic disrupted it last year. So they're coming back this year almost with vengeance. It's all in person. So we're really looking forward to attracting students who have not just a passion for the startup stuff, but they have a desire to actually get into this line of business, this line of kind of creating ventures and things like that. So, and we bring a very global context in terms of thinking, global kind of startups. And so I hope you will be able to apply and see. We're looking at 14 to 22 students. Where I try not to take, I want to make sure the experience is intimate for a lot of folks, and so everyone can have not only the opportunity to engage, but also to actually have an opportunity even to voice their startup ideas. So we're still putting the programs together, but I guarantee you it will be one of a lifetime experience for you to be in the city in the midst of a global festival that includes music and all that. So the cost of it, it's very similar to the baseball structure in terms of what you're responsible for. The unique thing in this case would be there is a badge that the South by the festival's badge. We're now negotiating with the festival organizers on getting a group and student discount to make it not only affordable, but accessible to everyone. And so I'm really excited about it. I'm happy to take any questions you all have on the substance of it. The description kind of gives you a full grasp of what the program is about, but I'm happy to answer any questions you all have.
Thank you so much, Tomas. Yes, so now we're opening it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions about the Austin program? Please feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat box.
Hey, Professor. This is Ad Lane. I'm one of the global MBA students here, and most of my free time these days is being spent in some of these entrepreneurial offerings that GW already has with the Innovation Lab and other centers. But what aspect of the prelude to the actual week would be spent toward taking these ideas and prepping them so that when we show up, we can make valid use of that time to be talking with people who are in the ecosystem?
Great question. So the 2 or 3 classes we'll do before going, we'll focus on that, not just about the idea side, but essentially even thinking about the future, because as a venture builder, you're kind of inventing the future. So we need to be thinking about where the future entails, and then we can talk about the nuts and bolts of what it means to put together these ideas. And then by the time we get to Austin, the kind of your final project is essentially at the end pitching your idea in front of a live audience, so to speak, at South by, and and then have kind of an ecosystem of supporters to help you kind of perfect or support your ideas in moving forward. So my hope for the students is that they don't just come up with abstract ideas, but real ideas that they might take it to market to make the experience much more meaningful than just an abstract concept. So yes, we will spend a lot of time before going there. There's going to be a lot of reading materials for it. And then by the time we get to Austin, on almost a daily basis, we'll be doing groupings, not only going to this panel and visits in Austin, but also on a daily basis, talking about your ideas and how you learn from the exposures that you're learning in Austin, and whether Austin is the ideal place where you want these ideas to kind of come to fruition. So that would be the kind of the gamut of the value chain of activities that will happen before getting to Austin, in Austin, and post Austin.
Hello, Professor. My name is Siri. I just joined the AMBA program this fall. I have an IT background, not at all anywhere near the business. So I want to shift careers and all that. That being said, right now I do not have any startup plan idea, but I would, I'm exploring. And I like this program right from the moment I saw it. I'm like, because startups are the future. That's what I believe in, anything, whatever it is, it has to be a startup at some point. Nothing is, that's how I feel. So would it be beneficial to me if I come to this program without having I don't have any plan that I want to start this company, but I want to explore what is out there? Or what do you
great
suggest?
Question. Yeah, great question. I think either way, I mean, the one element is obviously is that you might not know which ideas that you have and what the startup bug you might get out of this process, because the class is also supposed to inspire you to get into this line of business, right? As you just said, the world, the future is being invented by these startup companies, by founders like you or promising startups who are thinking through those things. So that's one. As a class, it will inspire you to actually do that. I think it's in you to think about that. The other flip side of it also is, as you just mentioned about the pivoting that you're trying to do, you might want to join a startup. You might not have to create one, but you might want to join a startup. What does that mean to work in those type of startups? So we will have visits in Austin in real startup companies that are already in ongoing concerns for you to learn what does it mean to work in a company like that. So not necessarily that I want you to be a seasoned entrepreneur, but I need you to have at least a hustler inside of you that says, I either want to be an entrepreneur or would want to work for an entrepreneur from a venture building perspective. So there is no requirement that you need to do that. The only requirement is that be open to that idea, that you might be disrupted in that sense. Your own perception of who you are, you might be disrupted by it.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other question?
I have a question. My name's Andrea. I'm not sure if it will be answered at the end, so feel free to interrupt me if it will be. I think Siri's question aligns with a little bit of kind of what I'm experiencing. I'm currently in the Masters of HR program. However, I've worked in startup adjacent organizations. So that's why this really spoke to me. So I think my main question is, who is reviewing the applications for this particular program, since it seems it's going to be selective?
Yes, would be me. I'm the professor, and so I want to make sure that I'm my model in selection is I want folks who are passionate about the subject line and about this, most importantly about the future, what prospect of where the world is going, and how this venture is going to contribute to that. And the other thing is, how open are they to Austin, right? Austin is a destination, not the substance, right? At the end of the day, this class is about creating startups and creating values for society in terms of inventing the future. And in this case, as I said, this is a startup city series. So we are now going to Austin, an amazing time, an amazing city, doing a very amazing event in Austin. But the substance of it, we're not there to learn about Austin. We're there to learn about, startups who happen to have the ecosystem. Austin happens to have an ecosystem that is, growing very rapidly, and it becomes a use case thinking about startups in a city like that. So that's the way I would frame it in a sense of what that was. But I think I am the guy, I'm guilty as charged in terms of and how we would select people. And my criteria would be as simple as what I just described to you. Students who are very passionate about, venture building, startups, and kind of cities like Austin.
I think Austin might become the next Atlanta.
It is. It's becoming that, especially, the real estate. I have friends who live there. They say that real estate of just, it became now Silicon Valley like in terms of prices. And I hope it does not, negate the weirdness of Austin, right? That's one of the most beautiful things about Austin is it does not feel like Texas, right? It's very weird. But now with all the traffic that they're getting is changing. And when I was there, 4 years ago, it still was, there were people who were complaining that this thing is changing too fast for them. But I think this class happening in Austin in a festival like this, the stars cannot be aligned as beautiful as this one. So I'm really excited about that. And the last thing I forgot is, if I don't want to presume people know what South by is. It's, if you should check it out, sxsw.com, I think. Marie can help me put out the link. You can look at it. Essentially, as part of the class. Not only will be focusing on startups, but you will be creating your own itinerary because of the badge that you will have. You will be able to see films. You'll be able to see music. You'll be able to see the amazing food that they have. So it's just like when you combine pleasure and purpose is what this class is about. So I could have not made this up in terms of how awesome it is, in terms of the type of very rich experience that you'll have. Not just in culture, but in business, but also just in kind of, what's the next big thing that's happening around the world.
All right, and we're waiting on Marie for 1 second because she seems to be having technical difficulties. Does anyone have any other questions for Professor DeBass?
I'm happy to start singing for her until she comes in.
And we'll also have time for Q&A at the end, but now would also be a great time.
I have a question for Professor DeBass. I can only imagine trying to get hotel rooms and accommodations is quite tricky, similar to spring break, but I think yours is even more tricky.
Yes, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. I had a call this morning with the South by organizers who are basically telling us we need to move very quickly. And so the sooner people kind of confirm right now, actually most rooms are being taken out, but some of them are being reserved by the organizers themselves. So the hope is that if we know our numbers sooner, we would be able to get a block of rooms closer to the venue versus be outside in the outskirts of Austin. So yes, and that's the reason we're kind of pushing the application. The sooner that we know, the better. So yeah, that's going to be very problematic. Not just finding the rooms and how costly they might be, and we are very sensitive to make sure that this does not burden the students, not only on the hotel side and the airfare side, but also the badge. The badge are not cheap, but they have promised me that they will not only give us student discounts, they might give us a group discount. So the sooner we get people in, and the sooner we'll be able to confirm our numbers and our cost is low. So, but thank you for that question. Yes, indeed.
I think Marie might be back. Are you back, Marie?
Yes, I am back, and I apologize for these difficulties. This Technology and COVID. It's not my day right now. So I just need a few more minutes to pull out the presentation, and then we can continue with the short-term exchanges.
Well, if we're still waiting, Professor, can you tell us a quick summary of your own background with startups or in the startup ecosystem?
Lovely. Thank you for that question. I forgot to. So on my day job, I'm an adjunct at GW. My day job is I manage the Department of State's private sector engagement work. I've been doing that for almost now in that line of career for 20 years. But before I became a diplomat, I was a startup founder. And ever since then, I have been visiting a lot of ecosystem builders. I'm an investor in a bunch of startups. I'm also a founder myself of a bunch of startups. So this is my passion. This is my kind of the pulse that keeps me alive, aside from the kind of the day job that I do. And so the ecosystem that is around the world, not just in the US side, but around the world in emerging markets, has been my passion and my expertise from that perspective. So that's what I bring to kind of the table, is that a very global context and a kind of a lean business model where how do you kind of thrive in an environment where you might not have significant amount of capital and access to markets, and how do you able to build products and services in a short period of time and iterate and be able to go to market. And so that's kind of my expertise.
So you probably know Dave McCarthy then.
From stateside?
Well, he runs a lean innovation workshop here with GW. I'm currently in it, part of a, we're doing customer discovery right now.
Oh, okay, that's cool. It's awesome.
All right, thank you so much for your patience as I work this out. Okay, here we go. Okay, thank you, Tomas, and thank you, Lisa. We will have, again, opportunities at the end for more questions. I see a few questions coming through the chat. We'll go through them towards the end of the presentation. So quickly, in addition to our faculty-led programs, we also have short-term exchange programs. And like the name implies, they're basically shorter versions of term exchange. They're in a condensed version, so they're about a week, 2 weeks long. They are immersive experiences at the partner university. We have about 20 partners around the world. About 4 or 5 of them offer these short-term opportunities. They're open to partner schools around the globe. So you'll be in a classroom with students from US schools and students from around, in MBA programs and business programs around the world. These courses are developed and run entirely through our partner university. So we really serve as an intermediate in these opportunities. They include lectures, site visits, and cultural activities. And what is really interesting about our partners is that they have their own networks of companies that they partner with, or organizations that they partner with, and participating in these programs really gives you that network in terms of getting basically having access to these opportunities. These programs are restricted to only GWSE graduate students. So only GWSE graduate students can apply to these programs. Our first program up is the Technology Management in a European Business Environment with Grenoble École de Management, located in France, in Grenoble. This course is offered, has been actually offered for a few years now. It is a result of a collaboration between Grenoble, GW, UNC, Keenan Flagler, and Duke Business Schools. So you really, all of these schools will be, will be participating in this program. And Grenoble has a strong focus on technology and innovation. So they have partnerships with tech companies such as HP and other multinationals. This course combines lectures from Grenoble, from faculty from Grenoble, as well as company visits. They also include an itinerary as sort of a complementary part of the program. They have a certificate for serious games which is taught by their renowned faculty member. And it provides an opportunity to address a serious topic in a fun way. So they use these serious games or gamification in which are now widely recognized in education, in a corporate environment where playing and competing will help maximize the engagement of participants. Topics range from, for example, corporate challenges to mobilize the staff, to marketing aspects seeking to increase interactions with customers. Our next program up is also located in France, but with a different partner. Audencia Business School is located, they have their main campus in Nantes. They also have an executive campus in Paris. This program is, I forgot to mention about Grenoble, that the program is 3 credits, is happening. Let me just go back for a second. The Grenoble program is 3 credits, is happening in the first week of January. So that is the first program lined up in our series of offerings. And the deadline is October 24th as well. So all of the programs deadline is October 24th. Sorry for not mentioning that before. So for the Audencia Business School program, this program is actually a new topic. The same institution, Audencia, used to offer this program on the topic of global responsibility in a European context, which I had the pleasure to sit in on. So they're quite strong in the areas in that area and supply chain management. This specific topic on corporate governance, with this topic, the program aims to provide students with an overview of different approaches to corporate governance and how those approaches will allow companies to actively engage with the grand societal changes of the 21st century. This program is also 3 credits, so it'll happen right around the spring break, so March 13th to the 19th. It will be both in both cities, so there will be the 2 first days in Paris, and then students will take the train and travel to Nantes for the remainder of the program. Our next offering is Mexico as an Emerging Market, offered by IPADE Business School in Mexico City. This program is run by IPADE Business School and highlights Mexico as an emerging market through company visits and lectures from faculty at IPADE. This course is required for the IPADE MBA, full-time MBA cohort. So you'll be working in teams with visiting students as well as local students. So you'll have a full network with this program. This program is, of course, open to DWSP graduate students. It's 3 credits, and it will run also during the spring break of March 14th to the 18th. Our next program is the Denmark program with Copenhagen Business School, CBS. It's on sustainability in Scandinavia. This program has 2 courses, which are basically a week long each, and students will have to basically pick between each course. They have 1 course on ESG, which is environmental and social and governance, sustainability and impact investment from March 13th to the 19th. That falls straight within the spring break, so all students are eligible for that. Their regenerative sustainability program falls the week before spring break, so only online students can apply to that program because it will interfere with campus classes. These are short courses, so it's only worth 1.5 credits. Each course sort of tackles a different focus of sustainability. Copenhagen Business School does have a very strong emphasis and expertise in the area, so it is quite a popular program for students who are interested in sustainability. Now, aside from our short-term away opportunities, which are both international and domestic, as have you seen so far, we also have business and society courses, which are experiential learning courses that are condensed in a sense that you'll be able to take these courses over the academic breaks, winter, spring, and summer. They're worth 3 credits. And the particularity of business and society courses is that they seek to answer the question, how is business embedded in society, paying particular attention to how business operates in its political, social, and economic environments here in Washington, D.C. So these courses do have a focus on Washington, D.C. They're offered 3 times a year, but with all of the delays that we've had in terms of programming because of COVID, we're only going to be offering these in the spring and in the summer. Summer offerings will be released later on in this early December. Our offering for the spring semester will be on impact investment. It'll be taught by Professor John Four. These are open enrollment courses, so these do not follow the STAP deadline of October 24th. You'll be able to enroll in this class once spring registration opens in, I believe, first or second week of November. The course would be SMPP 6218, and it will be available in the calendar. The condensed course, the condensed portion of the course will occur over spring break. So it usually starts on a Wednesday through Saturday. They're 9 to 5 classes. 9 to 5 day classes. And there will be a few program sessions as well in February. So the specific dates for that will be released once we confirm with the faculty. Now, what are some additional opportunities? Again, this session really reviews like all of these opportunities that are available to you. In addition to all these, there's of course long-term study abroad sessions, and these are longer. So these are semester longs, although with many of our partners, they have module options, so you don't have to be away from the whole semester. We have 20 partner universities across 17 countries, all top business schools and with diverse areas of expertise. We spoke about CBS and Audencia that both have expertise in global responsibility and sustainability. Bocconi University has a lot of expertise with luxury brand management, as well as ESSEC Business School. So we have all these partners that are also available to you for a long-term study abroad opportunity. So these, I will have a separate session. I did have one for the, back in September. I'll have another info session on long-term study abroad in January that all students, of course, are invited to if you're interested in learning more. You can also schedule a call or a meeting with me personally if you're interested in exploring these options as well. Now let's talk a little bit about the application process, because I know a few of you had already some questions. So like I mentioned before, all of the applications are available now online. You can go on our website and click on each program of interest, and you'll have access to the brochure through which you'll be able to start your application. You should apply to all of your programs of interest. As somebody mentioned before, there's a lot of, because we've been, basically the whole world's been shut down for about 18 months now, a lot of students are very excited to be abroad. So we're expecting a lot of competition. So apply to as many programs as you like to give you the best chances of getting into those programs that you want, at least getting into one program that you want to go to. One thing that I would mention is that the spring break programs run simultaneously, so you cannot participate in both some of the March programs. So let's say the Austin program and the Copenhagen program run at the same time, so you have to make a choice. The Grenoble program runs in the winter, so if that is available to you, you'll be able to take both of those programs because they don't conflict with each other. Applications close at 11:59 on October 24th. Past that time, you will not have access to your application, so please make sure that you submit your application before that date. Somebody had mentioned before, but in terms of the review process, for the faculty-led programs, both Professor Narati and Professor Debas will review the applications that have been submitted to their programs, and my office will review all the applications that have been submitted to all the short-term exchange programs, including Grenoble, Audencia, CBS, and IPADE. Decisions will be made available to students on or after November 3rd. So after November 3rd, you can expect to have a decision on all of your applications for these programs. To commit to the program, this step will come once you get that email that you've been accepted into a program. You'll have 5 business days to actually commit to the program by submitting a $500 deposit. That deposit is basically a deposit to yourself because it will sit on your student account as a credit that applies towards the spring semester. So it will apply to any sort of outstanding charges of the spring semester. So if you, for example, only enroll in a study abroad class, then it will apply to the program fee and the tuition for that study abroad class. In terms of eligibility, all of our graduate students and undergraduate students are eligible for these programs, depending on, of course, the level of eligibility that we've talked about. These programs apply towards general elective credit. What that means is that if your program has specific electives, selectives that they're called, you may not be able to take one of these classes. So the first thing that you'll need to do is speak with your advisor and make sure that these classes will actually count towards your degree, because there are specific degree programs that don't allow for other electives than the ones that they have listed. In terms of the registration and billing, let's see, we will be enrolling you in the specific study abroad class, let it be TSTD 6282 for the Arizona program or SMPP 6290 for the Austin program. You cannot enroll in these courses on your own. So enrollment will be processed once sort of all of the financial and program fees have been processed, which is usually in early December. So for students who basically depend on a certain amount of credit to get their financial package for the spring semester, I usually recommend you enrolling in a dummy 3-credit class until you're registered in this class. And I will always send you an email ahead of your registration to make sure that, okay, we're ready to go, you're about to be registered, you can drop any sort of dummy classes that you're registered in, and then I can proceed with registration. All students need to be registered in the class before the program begins, meaning that if there are any academic holds or student accounts holds on your account, you'll need to clear them so I can register you for participation. The program fee is tied to the course registration. So as soon as you're registered in the class for the 2 faculty-led programs, you'll be billed the program fee, which will include potentially the lodging, local transportation, cultural events, and any sort of program-related activity will be billed to you through student accounts. For short-term exchanges, the program fee will be due directly to the partner, and there will be guidance on how to pay that to the partner. And that fee will include, it doesn't include lodging, so it only be local transportation, different cultural activities, and any sort of other program-related expenses, including lectures and meals and such. All of those details are included on the brochure. So if you go on each program brochure, I have a section for cost estimate where you'll be able to see all of these details. And please, please, please await G&EE and faculty approval before purchasing your airfare. When you apply to a program, do not purchase your airfare. Even when decisions are released, do not purchase your airfare until you hear the green light from our office or from your faculty leader to purchase airfare. Now let's talk about traveling in a COVID era, because sadly that is a reality that we've been living in for the past, I want to say 2 years, because it's going to go on 2 years now. All of the G&E programs fall under the scope of the GW International Travel Policy that you can find in at that link. And what that stipulates is that if the university has a travel embargo, an international travel embargo, a lot of these programs will have to follow that guidance. That means that many of these programs potentially could be canceled. So we highly recommend that students, for any arrangements, please purchase cancel for any reason insurance to make sure that you can recover those funds in case of cancellation, because GW will not be responsible for any unrecoverable out-of-pocket expenses. All students participating on this program will be required to be vaccination compliant in accordance with the GW International Travel Policy. So that means that students will either have to be fully vaccinated and or have a valid medical or religious exemption as noted on the GW COVID onward page. Now, make sure that you've read and understood the program cancellation and refund policy. There's a very detailed amendment in GW Passport once you log in and create your application. Please make sure to read that thoroughly and feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Read that thoroughly to make sure that you understand all of the terms before you make a decision on participation in our programs. And a final note is that students are recommended to have backup plans for academic credits. So if you're in your last semester and you just need 3 credits to graduate and you want to participate, for example, in the Audencia program or the Austin program or the Arizona program. Well, actually Austin and Arizona, it's because those programs will still run even if they go virtual for in like a worst case scenario. But if it's a short-term exchange specifically, you will just make sure to check with your advisor to make sure that you have a backup plan in case that short-term exchange program is canceled. So to ensure that you have those credits in order to graduate. So we can talk about that, of course, on a case-by-case basis. I'm happy to chat with individuals, and of course, in the Q&A session as well, I can address some of those questions related to these arrangements. Final steps. Ensure that you're able to travel. So these travel preparations happen months in advance. So if you're looking to travel in January and you don't have a passport, you need to do that now, because obtaining a new passport, a new US passport, takes about 6 to 8 weeks, plus the backlog of COVID. So you want to start that now. You want to understand your personal travel requirements now with the added level of entry requirements with PCR tests and vaccination cards required. You want to make sure that you are aware of all of those items before you travel, or even starting now. We will have, for all of our programs, we will have additional guidance. We will have pre-departure orientation to guide you throughout the process. So you're not alone in this, and you will not have to sort of do all of that research on your own. I will be here to assist you. So on that note, it looks like we're at the end of our presentation. Let's open it up for questions. I see a few questions in the chat box that I can already look to answer, but this is a good time for any general questions. Our faculty are still here, so if you have any specific questions, feel free to also answer those. Ask those.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Dimitri. Bien-aimé. So my question is, I'm really interested about the program, especially the one for the Grenoble. I think it's going to be January 2nd to January 9th. So for that one, I'm really interested, but basically I don't really need elective. So I just need 1 credit for my certification, because for both of my master's program, my international affairs and my MBA, I'm good with that the elective, but I just need 1 elective for my certification in strategic management. So I don't know what is the program I'm interested about can fit to my certification.
Okay, so there's 2 things. First, for certificates, and this is something that I forgot to mention in my presentation, but if you're enrolled in a graduate certificate, you will need to check with the department if one of our programs can count towards that certificate. Some of those certificates are very strict, so they won't allow you to take any other classes than what are offered at GW. So that's something that that's a conversation that you have to have with the department. But now in terms of sort of how many credits you'll need to graduate, what will happen is that you will be basically responsible for that additional cost. So if you enroll in a Grenoble program that's 3 credits and you only really need 1 credit to graduate, well, number 1, you have to check with your advisor to see if that's possible, if they will let you enroll in a 3 credit course. And number 2, you'll basically be paying additional tuition. So you'll be paying for the equivalent of 2 additional credits for the overall cost of your program. So that's something that you'll have to be okay with in order to participate in the program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. But what I'm can I make an appointment with you so we can after I'm going to discuss with my academic advisor regarding my case. and
Yes, of course.
from before October 24th, so I can schedule an appointment with you.
Yes, of course. Yes, feel free to
Mary.
call me on the screen. That's our general email, stintl@gw.edu. It's the best way to reach me. Sadly, my screen seems frozen again, so I can't basically pop my email in the box. So Grace, if you wouldn't mind just putting my email in the chat box so everyone has it, you can reach me directly at my email to make an appointment. And yes, we definitely chat before the deadline so that we can iron those things out for you.
All right, so I will go ahead. Let me see if someone put your email. Okay, I see the email. All right, thank you.
Great, you're welcome. And yes, sadly, my screen seems frozen again. Grace, could you read? I think I saw that there was a couple of questions in the chat box. Could you read them out loud so I can address them?
Yes, of course. So the first question that you already answered is, are there scholarship opportunities for these programs?
Yes, so actually, sadly, we don't have any scholarships available for this cycle. Everybody know with the financial hardship that the university went through because of COVID, sadly, we won't have any available scholarships from our office specifically, but you're welcome to look into third-party scholarships. Grace and I have been working on creating a roster for third-party scholarship for study abroad programs that I'm happy to share with anybody who would be interested. But these are really third-party, organizations that GW does not endorse, and they're of course not guaranteed, but those are some options. And of course, you can look at other additional funding options through the university, but our office sadly does not have any funding.
And speaking of cost, Maria, we had a student ask if you will be discussing the cost of each program in the meeting.
I have cost estimates for each of the programs except one, but they are all available on the brochure, so you can go on the brochure and see those cost estimates. I can quickly give the structure. So for faculty-led programs like the Arizona and Austin programs, students will be billed a program fee in addition to their tuition. That program fee will include lodging, it would include local transportation, some of the group meals, and any cultural events, and any program-related expenses. It does not include your personal flights to and from the city. It does not include your personal meals, and it does not include sort of any personal local transportation that you'll have. So if you're going off by yourself to explore, that will also be at your own cost. All of the other expenses will be billed through student accounts. So once you're registered in the class, that will appear on your bill for the spring semester. For short-term exchanges, there's no program fee through GW. The only cost that will be due to our office is the cost for your travel health insurance. That will be due via check or electronic payment. It's usually small because our GeoBlue fee is about less than $2 per day. So it comes out to less than $20. And that's all you would owe. On the partner side, each program, again, I have it on the brochure. The CBS program, I believe, is $500, and it includes local transportation. So you'll get a transportation card for the different zones in Copenhagen where you'll be located. There it includes cultural events, some of the meals, and some of the activities as well for the program, or all the activities for the program. It will be similar for IPADE, Audencia, and Grenoble. They're all a fee that's due directly to the partner. And once you're nominated to that partner, they will share information on how to pay those fees.
And Marie, we also have a student that just asked if they already have a scholarship through the university, if they can use it for these programs.
So yes, it depends on the terms of the scholarship. Many of the GW scholarships apply to tuition only. So it would, if you're enrolled in, for example, the Arizona program, it would apply to the tuition credits for the Arizona program, not the program fee. If you have a third-party funding, third-party scholarship that applies to anything that's academic, then it may apply to the program fee as well. So you'll have to check on the stipulations of that funding. If it's a tuition reward or tuition award, it will only apply to tuition. But yes, it would apply to these programs.
And Marie, can you talk about if they're allowed to apply? You already mentioned this a little bit, but if they're allowed to apply for more than one program?
Correct, yes. And I encourage students to apply to more than one program because it gives them more chance of getting in at least one. Again, there will be, you know, some of our programs are highly competitive, so, and highly popular. So it is best to put, you know, your chances in, you know, in multiple boxes to make sure that you can secure at least one program.
And are second-year students able to participate in these short-term programs?
Yes, as long as you have elective, general elective credit remaining. If you haven't taken all of your electives in the previous semester, yes, you can take any of these opportunities.
And how many spots are available for the corporate governance program?
The corporate governance program has a capacity to up 15 to 20 students or so. It's quite flexible because that program is designed for GW specifically. So we have some flexibility to add additional spots depending on demand for the program.
And if the students are seeking more information on the cost of these programs, where should they look?
So they can, again, refer to the brochure. That's the first spot where you want to go. All the short-term exchanges, in addition to the little cost estimates table that I have on there, if you go in the specific program brochure or school brochure, which should be linked under additional information, in each of the brochure, the partners do talk about, you know, cost estimate, so that will help as well. You're also welcome to make an appointment with me to give you sort of, and I can give you more information if you need.
And if the students are only taking online courses next semester, are they able to apply for the programs?
That will depend. And yes, so the answer is yes, you can apply to the program, but you want to check Professor Narati and Professor DeBass are both here. So you may want to check to make sure that if the pre-course sessions are offered online, then yes, you can apply for those courses. But if they're only in person, then you know, the expectation would be that if you get into the program, you'll have to be on campus to take the pre-campus sessions before the travel, the off-campus portion. For the short-term exchanges, there are no on-campus sessions, so you're able to apply as an online student because all of the pre-travel coursework will be done remotely, and then you'll only be responsible to travel to the destination when the program begins.
And then the last question that I have from the chat, Marie, is where will we be able to find the recording of this session?
Great question. We'll have it available through each of the brochures. So there's a portion of the brochure that says virtual information session and it has the date. I will replace that date with a link to this session once it is available, which should come through later on in the evening. And then I will also have it linked out on the website. For anybody who registered for the session, we will also send out the link through the email, through email.
And those were all of the chat questions.
Great, thank you so much, Grace. Are there any additional questions? I know we went a little bit over, sadly, because of my technical difficulties, but if there's any other questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Are there any other questions? Well, if there aren't any other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up the session. Thank you so much again to everybody who attended. Thank you so much to Dr. Narati and Professor DeBass for joining. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at sbintl@gw.edu, and we will be happy to answer. Grace and I monitor this email, so we will be able to get all your questions answered. Again, the application is open until October 24th. So please make sure to submit your application by then. In the meantime, I will have, reminders going out regularly via email that you've already received. My office hours are Monday through Friday. I basically Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm in person in the office. My office is located in 551 Duquesne Hall. On Wednesdays, I am virtual, but I'm fully available virtual. So feel free to shoot me an email, and then we can make an appointment if you have any additional follow-up questions. So on that end, we will now end the session. Thank you so much for